President Donald Trump returned to office, promising to strengthen the American economy, bring back jobs, and create more opportunities for American workers. But lately, employment data is raising concern. Welcome to the Reality Room. Thank you for stopping by. Please do not forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our updates. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you all. Let us watch these clips and come back with our commentaries.
Monday morning, we are waking up to a new state of politics in the United States because Donald Trump will be waking up in Washington, D.C. with the Senate on a 5-week recess. And when they return, their only mission will be to save the Senate, which means every single one of Donald Trump's biggest promises that is still left unfulfilled is going to stay that way forever. And no matter how well you think you remember all of Donald Trump's promises, you owe it to yourself to let me remind you of the biggest ones right now, so we never forget exactly how big of a failure he is. Now, first, he said he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Instead, he tripped and ended up being Vladimir Putin's ball-gagged gimp. Ronald Reagan is spinning in his grave. Second, do you remember this? Balanced budget, February 7th, 2025. That was his promise last year when he and Elon Musk thought Doge was going to find $2 trillion in savings. The deficit was $1.8 trillion last year. It's expected to be $1.9 trillion this year, the greatest in American history. In fact, the national debt is up almost $4 trillion since he took office, even though they eliminated 271,000 federal workers. What'd you do with all that money, Donald? Fuck up the reflecting pool twice so you could not fix it twice? Third, you remember when he said he had concepts of a plan to replace Obamacare? Instead, they cut $1 trillion from Medicaid and gave it to the Epstein class, which resulted in a bunch of hospitals closing and millions of people getting kicked off of Obamacare. Fourth, he said he was going to end all war, which was a pretty easy one because Joe Biden started no wars. So instead, he started a new one, ran out of all of our missiles, and extended the streak of every single Republican president in my life, starting a new war in the Middle East. Fifth, you remember when he said IVF was going to be free for everyone? Fail. When he said he was going to bring prices down on day one on everything? Fail. When tariffs were going to deliver an American manufacturing boom? Fail. And then when none of this happened in 2025, do you remember when they said, oh, but don't worry, in 2026, that's when prosperity will begin to flow? Well, I'm looking around and I don't see anything flowing except for an endless stream of bullshit from Trump's mouth and an endless stream of failures from Trump's Washington, D.C.
When we dug into the numbers, we saw that there are really two special factors.
So this is Kevin Hassett, Trump's director of the National Economic Council, trying to explain why the employment numbers in July were in the negative. The economy lost 23,000 jobs when the Trump administration had originally forecasted growth. But let me let Kevin explain to us what some of those factors are.
One is there was a big decline in government employment, which is partly because of Doge and the end of the World Cup. Meant that a lot of hospitality workers were then laid off after the World Cup ended. If you take those two effects out, it was about 100,000 job number, which is about consistent with what we expected, and the market expected 88,000. And of course, in the end, the proof will be in the number that we get next month. And so, if you were to get a sequence of numbers like this, then there's not going to be special factors every month.
So, Kevin, let me see if I get this straight. You're telling America that the reason the Trump administration missed the forecast by 128% is that three things happened that you didn't expect. And then proceed to tell us that two of those three unexpected things are Doge, which was a non-government entity created and allegedly controlled by the Trump administration, and the World Cup ending in July, which the Trump administration and really the whole world has known would end in July for the past 4 years. And then you have the courage to kick the can down the street by telling us, wait until you see how well we do next month, and we need to look at the sequence of numbers. The sequence of numbers? This, Kevin, this is what the sequence of numbers looks like. It's a disaster. So what are you going to tell us for the August numbers that you didn't expect would have sunny days and people would be grilling in their backyard?
Yeah, again, it's kind of incredible to hear the president describe himself as the manufacturing president, and I applaud his ambitions, but let's just talk about what the reality is. The reality is that manufacturing, obviously you had COVID and all the stuff going on, but it got as high as 12.9 million jobs back here. And then it started to decline, and it simply continued to decline under Trump. So, in fact, rather than gaining any manufacturing jobs, we've lost 75,000 manufacturing jobs since Trump arrived. He also likes to talk about the building boom. I think on the show yesterday, he talked about $19 trillion of new investment in America. That is obviously a crazy number. But in any event, when you look at something like factory building, you can see that the factory building went up sharply under Biden. A lot of this had to do with the CHIPS Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, incentives for clean energy. Companies were out building stuff. Then it peaked, and now it has just been going down under Trump, down to $175 billion rate from a peak of $250 billion. Trump also likes to talk about data centers and how much they're going to help this manufacturing boom, so to speak. And in fact, you can see data center construction has gone up a bit. It's up to $43 billion, but not nearly enough to compensate for how much actual factory loss has been achieved. And of course, data centers employ not so many people. Factories employ a lot of people. So again, no manufacturing boom, no manufacturing renaissance evident in any of the numbers. And tariffs played a role in this. They raised the cost of steel and aluminum and discouraged businesses from building manufacturing facilities here.
Morning, Joe. Economic analyst Steve Ratner with a banger set of charts this morning. Steve, thank you so much.
There's one word to describe the job growth statistics that came in last week: anemic. Trump is screwing up this economy left and right. The tariffs, the so-called big beautiful bill, which is laying off so many people, and the idea that they don't know how to manage an economy. They just threaten the Fed. What does that mean to you? You're more likely to be fired. If you're looking for a job, it's harder to find one. Your costs go up, your income goes down. They don't know what the hell they're doing with the economy.
If you're wondering when our fellow Americans are going to recognize the damage that Donald Trump is doing to this country, I want to point out that more and more Americans are. This is easy to miss because it doesn't get covered much, but public opinion has been moving quickly and dramatically away from the president. Among young people, he's lost 34 points of support. And I think it's because he's failing to keep his most basic promises. He hasn't brought prices down. They're going up because of his actions. The economy as a whole is getting worse. And most Americans see that and recognize it. And it's showing up in the way that they think and talk about the president. So don't fall for this attempt to make you feel disempowered. Raising our voices makes a difference. It's clearly having an effect, and we've got to keep it up.
Speak English or get out of my country.
Yes, you heard right. The Spanish language may be living its last days on American soil. Donald Trump has just announced a measure that is leaving millions in shock. Starting in August, the only officially recognized language in the United States will be English. That's right, no more services in Spanish, signs in Spanish, or bilingual forms. Trump declared, "If you want to live here, speak English. This is the language of America." The order is already being prepared for schools, hospitals, and public offices. Everything must be exclusively in English, and those who insist on Spanish may even lose access to essential services. Trump states that linguistic diversity weakens national identity and encourages illegal immigration. But critics denounce this is a direct attack on the Latino community, which represents more than 60 million people in the country. What do you think about this? Comment if you agree, and share this news with all your contacts.
This is why you gotta love that motherfucker. Even it doesn't matter if you're left-leaning, if you're right-leaning, if you're in the corporate world, if you're in the IT sector. Trump just announced that he's considering closing down the ability for corporations to send tech jobs to India. Everything that's being outsourced has to stay in-house. It has to be done by Americans. When he says this, he doesn't say to my Republicans, it's for all Americans. It makes all of our lives better. We know the job market is shit. We've been making so much noise about this that finally somebody in the administration is like, okay, we probably need to shut that down. The panic from any companies that are receiving the outsourcing in India, complete panic. This will cost us millions of jobs. What are we going to do? The fucking same thing we had to do. We had to fucking stand up for ourselves. Go demand payment in your country. It's not our fault that your country pays shit. We're taking back this country. We're going to take back this job market. Got to be patient. I got to learn to be patient because I'm fire, bro. I get fired up, you know, and I get angry. And I'm not even looking for an IT job. I'm not interested in working anymore for corporate America. Fuck them dudes. I do my shit for myself. But I know there's a lot of people in my community who are struggling and need this. I mean, I've gone to foreclosures where the people work in cybersecurity and they're unemployed, bro. Cybersecurity, Americans served in our military, unemployed and can't find a job. Been looking for months. Why? Because all them jobs are going to the Habibis. I'm telling you, things are changing. Things are changing. Just got to learn to be patient. I got to learn to be patient. I'm working on it.
What we're seeing is the end result of a project that's been running for decades. Trump didn't invent it, but he's the most successful expression of it. The Lewis Powell Memo of 1971 wasn't a conspiracy fantasy. It was a blueprint. Powell basically told corporate America, you're losing the culture, the courts, the universities, the media. So stop playing defense and take power. And they listened. Slowly, methodically, what followed was a concerted effort to capture the courts, flood the media with conservative voices, to fund think tanks to launder right-wing ideology into expert opinion. They undermined trust in journalism, academia, and government. They redefined democracy as a threat to freedom. Trump is the perfect delivery system for all of this shit. Not because he's smart, but because he's shameless, authoritarian, grievance-driven, and completely willing to say the quiet part out loud. Here's the key thing people miss. The extreme right didn't want or even need a policy genius. They wanted a weapon. Trump 2.0. Trump does three things brilliantly for them. He breaks norms without any shame. Everything that once stopped the right from fully seizing power, ethics, law, decency, Trump just ignores like a brainless psychopath. And once norms are broken, they're hard to rebuild. They have converted politics into identity and religion. This is where the Messiah thing comes in. He's not evaluated on truth, competence, or results. Any attack on him becomes an attack on them. That's cult mechanics 101. Trump absorbs blame, so the system behind him stays invisible. Billionaires, corporations, judicial activists, media barons, they all hide behind Trump's crazy chaos. People argue about his tweets while the machinery keeps grinding. There's a lot of misinformation involved, but it's deeper than just bad info. It's epistemic collapse. Large numbers of Americans no longer agree on what facts are, what institutions are legitimate, and even what reality even is. That didn't happen by accident. It was cultivated. If people can't trust anything except a strong man, they will cling to him no matter how corrupt or incompetent he is. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Trump isn't an anomaly. He's a stress test, and the system failed it. If Trump disappeared tomorrow, I'm afraid the movement wouldn't. He showed them what's possible. He normalized authoritarian behavior. He proved you can lie constantly, lose elections, incite violence, and still command loyalty. So no, you're not crazy if you're watching this mask come off, a project that's been running since at least 1970. Trump isn't the cause. He is the culmination. And that's why this moment feels so dangerous. Because it is. Wake the fuck up, people.
So while Trump was in East Asia, he told everyone that Toyota was going to invest $10 billion into the United States, creating jobs for everybody. And then Toyota came back and was like, I know you fucking lying. No, we didn't. We didn't say that. So I'm going to need all the companies to just call him out on his bogus, just outright lies, because it's giving, I know a guy. No, the fuck you don't. Stop lying.
So this message is for Trump. I voted for you, right? I thought that you said that you was gonna make America great again, right? But why did I just see a video of a woman in a grocery store getting chocolate chips, just buying chocolate chips to make chocolate chip cookies? And the chocolate chips went from, they're like $10 right now. And some of them were almost $17. It's unaffordable for groceries right now. There's no jobs in America. Okay? You said that getting illegals out, we will have more jobs. There's no jobs. What happened to America being great again? Because America is literally a nightmare right now. Like literally a nightmare for everyone. Americans are unhappy. We're slaving and working damn near 50 hours a week if you have a job, just for the government to take everything from them. You tax us on everything. People's paychecks are going to high-ass rents that people can barely afford. They're not even home. Sorry, guys, I have to see where I'm looking because it's dark. Hold on. They're not even home to even spend time in their $2,000 apartment because they're too busy at work trying to pay their rent, their bills, and they're getting taxed on everything. What the fuck is going on in America? Because America is far, far from great again. And then on top of all of this, you're having a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg, can't stand him, and Bill Gates, who wants to put chips in everybody. Like, what the hell is going on? What is going on? Israel's literally owns the United States at this point. You do anything that Israel tells you, and they're literally starving people to death and killing them. The Epstein files, I don't even want to get started on that. I don't even want to get started on that because you guys know that there is a list, and on top of that, there's a lot of politicians involved and a lot of high people involved that it'll destroy them. Destroy them. So I apologize, my phone died, but please tell me, sorry, I was eating. How is America great again? How? How? Americans are suffering right now. There's something bigger going on. We just don't really know. We can't touch it. We just don't know exactly what it is. But I feel like we're just going to get screwed and fucked at this point. And that's really sad. It's really sad, Trump. You got to really, really prove yourself at this point because there's no faith. There's no faith in America at this point. America is plummeting. Plummeting. We can't afford food. We can't afford these bills that, you know, you have to pay for everything. If you don't pay on time, there's a late fee. You got people overdrafting, literally like emptying out their accounts, using their credit cards to pay for everything because everything is so expensive. How is America great again? At this point, it's pointless to vote for anybody. It's pointless because you're all on the same side. You're all on the same side at this point. What are you going to do to change what is going on for Americans right now? What are you going to do to change this? Because we're literally in like some kind of silent recession or some shit right now. Like, you know, toilet tissue and napkins are like damn near $20. You got to pay $20 to wipe your ass. You got to pay freaking damn near $10 for deodorant. Food. Do you really want me to get started on food? Because the fact that the lady was trying to get chocolate chips and they were $10 and some of them were $17. I don't even know, like, what the hell? Is this the tariffs? Like, what is it? What is it? What is it at this point? America is far from great again. That's all I have to say. This is sad. This is sad as hell.
Donald Trump just went dead silent. No Truth Social, no posts, nothing. And the number that shut him up should scare anyone who has a job. The June jobs report just dropped, and it is bad. The U.S. added only 57,000 jobs. Economists expected 115,000. That is less than half. On top of that, April and May got quietly revised down by a combined 74,000 jobs we thought existed and didn't. Hospitality alone lost 61,000 jobs right when tourists were supposed to be flooding in for the World Cup. Yes, unemployment technically dropped to 4.2%, but that is not because more people got hired. It is because hundreds of thousands of Americans simply gave up looking for work. Read that again. So the moment the numbers hit, radio silence from the president, not one word. But just hours earlier, before the bad news landed, he was busy hyping his own money. Trump posted that Micron, a company he personally holds stock in, according to his own financial disclosures, was pumping $250 million into so-called Trump accounts for kids. He bragged the stock was soaring, calling Micron one of the hottest companies in the world. Here's the catch. Micron shares actually fell nearly 10% that same day. The president just promoted a company tied to his own portfolio, got the stock moved completely backwards, and still called it the golden age. Then it got worse. Trump sent his top officials, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, and Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche out to Meridian Hill Park for a big National Guard photo op. What actually happened? They got drowned out by protesters. Hegseth called the booze the sound of ingrates. Blanche could barely finish a sentence over the shouting. This was supposed to be a show of strength. Instead, it turned into a live televised humiliation, broadcast for the whole country to see. And all of this is happening just blocks from Trump's own Great American State Fair, an event that, for over a week straight, has been plagued by embarrassingly empty booths and sparse crowds, even as the administration insists it's a massive success. Let's recap. A jobs report that missed by half. A stock claim that fell apart within hours. Cabinet officials booed in broad daylight, all before lunch, all in one single morning. So I have to ask, is this really the golden age they keep promising us? Or is the mask finally slipping? Say it in the comments. I want to hear it.